Welcome back to another video on Bob in Tekken 7. In the last video, we discussed what moves you can use to try to keep pressure after your 10-frame punishers. However, we didn't cover the reason why you should use those moves, and what happens when your opponent knows these moves are coming and chooses to respect them. In this video, we will go a bit deeper into how you create pressure in Tekken, between both what is true pressure and what is mental pressure. In the last video, we discussed using jabs, down forward 1, back 2, and standing 4 as options after your 10-frame punisher. While most of these are true pressure, the only one that is not true pressure is using down forward 1 after your 1-1-2 string. Instead of the 10-frame gap that moves like standing 4 and back 2 will leave, the down forward 1 will leave an 11-frame gap, meaning that you will lose to jabs. Aside from that, every option will trade with them if they choose to push a button there. Your jab after your 10-frame punishers is your most consistent option for holding pressure. Not only will it beat any button they push, it will also still leave you plus if they block it, allowing you to continue your offense. While his jab is very versatile, keeps him plus on block, and can chase down people who sidestep and sidewalk, it is still not without its own faults. Ducking under highs like Bob's jab will leave him open for punishment. If you use jabs too often after your 10-frame punisher, your opponent can catch on and beat it with their own move from crouch. If we are expecting our opponent to crouch now to beat our jabs, we must mix them up with mids. The mids that we have chosen, down forward 1 and back 2, are not only exceptionally safe and tough for the opponent to sidestep, they also will leave you very plus if your opponent ducks and gets hit by it. A very defensive opponent may not choose to challenge your jabs or your mids. In this case, we now need to use lows. What is very important to remember here is that no low is guaranteed after Bob's 10-frame punishers. No standing low Bob has can be used as true pressure until Bob is plus 7. The only way you can start using lows effectively is if you can apply mental pressure to your opponent. We first apply mental pressure using our jabs and our mids. An opponent would often rather stand and block your jab than crouch and risk being hit with a mid and then being more negative than if they were just to stand and block. Only once you have conditioned your opponent to stand your mix-up can you start applying lows in your pressure. Since no low is guaranteed as true pressure, we need this mental pressure to exist for Bob's lows to be effective. The first low we are covering is Bob's down 4. This low is very effective, being his fastest low. It is 11 damage, and it is -1 on hit and -12 on block. The biggest weakness of this low is that it can be walked in both directions after a max distance 1-4 punisher. Overall, this low isn't very risky, however it is extremely effective. The next low is Bob's down back 3. This low starts up in 20 frames and is +2 on hits and -12 on block. While not a very fast low, this cannot be stepped or walked when you are at least +3, and it also will knock them down on counter hit, making it great for checking what they are doing while they're knocked down and keeping them against the wall. Down back 3 is 17 damage on normal hit, making it quite effective at conditioning your opponent to block low. The following lows are launch punishable if your opponent blocks them. Bob's down back 3+4-4, the leg scoop, is a very long range 19-frame low. It leaves you +8 on hit, however it is launch punishable if they block it. It does a whopping 28 damage, and can let you set up for more pressure afterwards. While it cannot be sidestepped very easily, it can be sidewalked after your 1-4 punisher in either direction. Finally, we get to Bob's scariest low, his Hell Sweep. Bob's Hell Sweep has an 18 frame startup, however you need to be in crouch dash to get the input to come out. On hit, it grants a knockdown, and it does 33 damage, the strongest out of any of his lows. This Hell Sweep is minus 28 on block, meaning you can be launched if your opponent blocks it. It can also be sidestepped to the right, however it is extremely difficult to sidestep this move effectively. It is incredibly important to keep using mids with your pressure. If your pressure is just made up of highs and lows, your opponent can beat both of these by crouch blocking. Some characters have very tricky and evasive options that they can use even when they are very negative. It may be worth it to just sit and wait and see what your opponent does after you land your block punisher. Just like characters can duck under high-hitting moves, you can also jump over low-hitting moves. Your opponents can take advantage of this even after a successful block punisher using moves like hop kicks and orbital heals. And finally, if you have not conditioned your opponent enough or applied enough mental pressure, you can't get any of your lows successfully after a block punish, because they will be able to interrupt it with jabs and other quick moves. I hope you understand the importance of highs and mids in Tekken, and how to use those as true pressure along with mental pressure to gain access to your lows. In the next video, we will go over pressure extenders, extensions to some of the moves we have talked about such as down forward 1, and what to do if they successfully manage to block your mids and highs.